Good afternoon, Tamar Lavender Robinson here, and I am of two opinions. On the one hand, I'm like, how dare you use another artist's art in order to proliferate and spread your brand and your your money and your vibes and your all that stuff. On the other hand, it could be turned into a collab, and it can be just as easily reframed or switched, whatever word you want to use, parlayed by Studio Ghibli themselves to reignite and relaunch their brand. I know in the coming days and weeks there's going to be Netflix releases a record number of watches on Studio Ghibli titles. It's going to be record number of this, and this. So the question will be, is there a net gain or a net loss to AI and the proliferation of AI products? Animators worldwide will be casting their anger, their frustration. It took Studio Ghibli 1 year. It took him 1 year to create this scene. Like the attention to detail, like all of that remains untouched. And those facts should be told, should be taught, should be expanded and explained. And it should be done with love and care and trust and honesty that says, look, this is the dedication and skill that it took to go into this work. Now, fast forward however many years later, we have AI technology systems that could do it in an instant. However, not to the level of skill, spec, and originality that the originator did. And that is the key piece that I want to link to. I am not of the opinion that you should outlaw AI. Outlaw when photos and art gets like transformed and copied, and copied is the wrong word. It is the basis of everything. Everything is the basis of everything. So there's inspiration from everything. When you attempt to copy something, in the textiles industry, it's called, what's it called? Counterfeit. In money, it's called counterfeit. In academics, it's called plagiarism. In lots of different areas, copying is forbidden, and it is very, very badly frowned upon. Giving credit to artists, when you don't give credit to artists, that is fraudulent. That is toxic. When you don't get samples approved by the person that did the original, that again is terrible and disgusting and should be called out. However, it switches from things like a moral right to a legal right. And, you see it now with people trying to trademark words like water or smart water, things like that, you can't trademark a word, or can you? People have tried, things like vibe, or things like lit, or, new definitions and uses of the word. At a certain point, the art, that inspiration switches from ownership of the individual to ownership of the collective. And how you now move forward knowing that collective has that shared ownership of that art is what I think will define the future. At the end of the day, people try to capitalize as much as they can. Make as much as they can, and really just grow and make the most of everything at every opportunity. That is not always an opportunity for everyone. Now, the individual artists and the production and the studio and all the people that's hard work went into creating Studio Ghibli products should be, and therefore must be, compensated adequately. How that happens, I have no idea. I'm not in a position to say how, but I think that's what needs to happen, because the Pandora's box is well and truly open, people. And what do they say? You can't put the horse back in the stable after it's bolted. There's a lot of expressions that say, look, it's here now. What are we going to do? What are we going to do, guys? Okay, so this has been my thoughts. My take is, I think you should give credit where credit's due as much as possible. I think if a legal case or claim arises, then obviously you should meet that claim at where it stands. And a moral obligation, a moral right, I think morally it's on everybody to just ensure that artists are paid, artists are credited, and we give artists time and effort and space and energy they deserve, and not undermine the process. We should not platform necessarily people that are using AI. Obviously there'll be the person that sort of breaks it or breaks the news or uses it in a new way, and therefore that's always going to happen. But come on, guys, the level of effort that it takes to use AI is so minimal compared to somebody that spent their entire life doing it. So you could argue, was their entire life dedicated to this moment where we can now access their abilities in an instant? Maybe that's part of a larger conversation. What is human life coming to? What's it amounting to? Is 100-year life now being condensed into a millisecond or a processing process online through the servers of OpenAI, Google, DeepSeek, therefore such and so forth? Let me know what you think. And is that human progress? Is that what we all want at the end of the day? For our lives to be sped up and for more time and energy to be spent with our family and friends, less time building and creating something which ultimately might get copied again in about 100 years. Tell me. Keep doing more than the rest. You know the rest. My name is Tim Robinson. Make sure you subscribe and like, and I'm not even gonna, well, no one says that anymore these days. Just keep doing more than the rest, alright?